wife and no kids at 40. Have I failed? Yes.
How dare you!
So hear me out. To ask the question is to answer it, right? Many people deep down know that something's not right here. And this is why we have an increase in these types of videos where people are questioning their loneliness, no friends, no relationships. Shout out to the Connect for this video. Go and check out the original video. You know, they seem like a bunch of good guys just having a conversation about random stuff, and they're blowing up quite quickly. Go and check these guys out. So I want to do like a loose response video to what they're saying. Basically in their video, the gist was many things hamper the possibility for having kids, right? Especially in the realm of economics, and also in this age of technology where people are more so reliant upon technology, social medias, friends online, right? Which might hinder people's social interactions and social skills and make them more aloof, lonely homebodies, right? It's nothing new, something that we always tackle and talk about because it's interesting and it affects a lot of us. But I think all in all, we've all generally been sold a dream. Okay, whether that be the modern feminist movement where it preaches to women that they can be independent and they can basically abstain from the joys of life, and having a family, children, and a reliable spouse is a joy of life. Let's not kid ourselves. But there's also men who have been lied to with the red pill movement. You know, we've got guys taking it to the extreme, guys for years staying in the same mental place, throwing accusations at all modern women, quote unquote, are no good, not marriage worthy. Therefore, I do not have the desire to build a family. Now, of course, like I said, the main factor for many people is the economics, right? Your finances. And if you are someone who is struggling financially at the moment, then it is very responsible to say, look, I'm not going to have kids. I'm not going to bring kids into the world because they're more than likely going to suffer too, you know. And I'm not even suggesting that kids and family should only be for people who are financially wealthy. I think that doesn't make sense. And I think that is not necessarily going to breed the best people into the next generation. But of course, we've got unfortunate elements such as the rate of inflation, whereby inflation is rising, but our salaries aren't rising to meet it, right? So of course that hinders a lot of people financially. But I've always challenged this frustration at the rate of inflation because to some degree we have control over these things. Obviously we don't have control over the markets, but I think before we talk about inflation, we have to ask ourselves, what is our skill set? You know, what have we gone to university to study? Did you even go to university? Do you have a degree? Problem is that a lot of people don't target the industries that are profitable or highly profitable, right? And often that means targeting the lower hanging fruit, or that means going to university for a degree that is quite easy, right? But that will mean that when you get into the workplace, you're probably most likely not going to have a salary that is what you expected. Going to university to study a degree for 4 years on something your heart wasn't really into, you're using your 20s to party and just waste time. Your 20s should be the decade where you are always keeping your options open career-wise and looking for the next step up. You know, your 20s can be a time where you actually change careers completely because you've become enlightened, or you've learned something, or you've understood that, hey, maybe my passion lies somewhere else. As I make this video, I know a lot of people will look at the title and look at my answer and just completely disagree without wanting to hear my point of view. And I understand that, but that also speaks to the level of manipulation and also hard-headedness that people don't even want to question why they think the way they do. Again, going back to these coping mechanisms that both men and women experience, you know, there are not any decent men out there, or again, all modern women are on social media, you know, DMing, you know, high value men and so they aren't faithful women. 70% divorce rate, so what's the point of marriage for men? You're going to get fleeced by the system. Men want me to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, being their slave. You know, all these modern talking points that have really just left people, men and women, isolated. And so, you know, time goes by, we age and we reach another stage of life, and now we start to question these things. And I find that to be very sad, to be honest, because a lot of people can't make up that time. And when we're talking about biology, you literally can't do anything about it. You can try, you know, thinking about IVF treatments and stuff like that, but there are high failure rates. So a lot of people are going to go through life without the, I wouldn't even say joys, just the experience of having a family of your own. And as a father myself, I think that you miss out on a type of love that you can only really have with your own children. What I find is that a lot of people, they reach late 30s, 40s without kids. And what seems to happen is like your motivation for life, your zest for life declines. Right? You find it very hard to get up and go with excitement. And I think that happens because, you know, we enter certain stages of life, right? What we desire in our 20s will most likely not be what we desire in our 30s. And typically, as human beings, the later stages or the middle stages of life is where we start to pass the baton on to our offspring. And I think deep down, a lot of people are frustrated for the fact that they can't experience that. You know, a lot of people question why they don't have friends at 40. Well, that's because most likely a lot of these other people are in their next stage of life. They're spending most of their time with their family, with their kids. You know, we can't be hanging around like we were as teenagers or in our 20s, going to the clubs. And so again, I think the modern media or the modern catchphrases has really kept people in limbo, and it's made people able to have very strong coping mechanisms. People need to touch grass. And again, I know that is a catchphrase that annoys a lot of people because a lot of people are very stuck in their introverted homebody ways. But I think people should aim to maintain a social life in order to foster relationships. A lot of people of this generation are antisocial and don't really seem to value friendships, but yet in the future they're going to complain that they have no friends. They're going to wake up one day and realize, hey, I live a very lonely life. But that will happen if you don't make the effort, especially in your younger years, to socialize, to meet people, to engage with people. And a lot of people rely on forums and chat rooms, but these will never facilitate or become a really strong bond and relationship. The people we meet online, sure, we might have very much in common, but they're not going to be in our lives like that. People shouldn't be extremists, and what I mean by that is, again, the extreme feminist, the extreme red pill meathead that lives by other people's ideations. Right? So for example, you could have someone, I don't know, internet coach influencing guys to not get married and not have kids. And unfortunately, the more impressionable, weaker-minded people, usually younger people, will just fall hook, line and sinker without even having critical opinions of their own, without even having viewpoints of their own. And a lot of these people are inexperienced at that point, so they become easy converts. And with social media, it's crazy because these guys will make multiple daily posts and they're very engaging, entertaining, and they've caught your attention, and you just reside in this limbo. And again, a lot of time passes every second. And people might reach a point where the time that's been lost, there is no regeneration, there is no getting it back. And you're going to be stuck at that point until the end. It's fine if that's what you want, but I think people really need to question if that's truly how they want their life to go. And all these random divorce rates that are gonna encourage people to just basically not get married, because it looks like a bad decision. But why not investigate divorce rates in your area of the world instead? Why listen to a person who has usually had a failed or divorced, a failed marriage or been divorced? Obviously, they're going to have a negative opinion of marriage, right? Think for yourself. Finances, people need to set up financially. In a nutshell, just don't study nonsense. If you want to go to university, in my humble opinion, only go for STEM. Don't do media, art, history, just STEM. And that will relay into your finances, hopefully, in the future. Being in profitable industries where the rate of inflation won't really matter to you that much because you're in an industry that is profitable. You're getting money. You know, there are, even amongst all this high inflation, there are companies out here that are giving mad bonuses around this time of the year. You know, people are getting paid. And then when you get into relationships, we need to get into relationships with sensible people, reliable people, people who are motivated, who have goals in life. You know, a lot of people become single parents because they were dealing with people who just weren't motivated. These were the wrong people to procreate with. People that complain, for example, about child support, family estrangement. It's usually because their spouse was a very vindictive person, and there are, again, very many traits that can result in that, you know, coming from single parent households, for example, having unresolved trauma, not seeing examples of healthy home environments. Some people build families when they can't afford them, right? Again, many people who complain about divorce, often you'll find that they have been married early in life when they weren't really making as much money as they could have. Again, to ask the question is to answer it. A lot of people feel like failures because they've reached this point in life without having anything to show for it. And the only thing really to show that we can show in life is our family. You know, the family you create. All your wealth, all your things, your cars, your homes, who's going to remember them when you're gone? All your hard work might most likely will be possessed by the government. And I don't think we can keep blaming technology, things like feminism. I think we can only look to ourselves and blame ourselves because a lot of it is our own inaction, just simply following what someone else abides by or lives by. But in any case, check out the Connect's original video. Let us know what you think in the comments below. I really appreciate you if you like or even dislike this video. Any engagement is good, and I'll see you in the next one.